In case I don't have anything else to say. Whenever I think about Adam, I think, did you not tell them they were the Lord's chief? Without further ado.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is from a story that I've been writing for almost a year now. And it is about a girl in Scotland and her dreams. Willow squinted and attempted to rub the foul dream of Scotland from her eyes, as if the sleepy seeds in them contained the magic dust which kept the dream in her mind. She deftly swept the blanket of smooth grass laid aside, as one sweeps away a bedsheet, and rose to her bare feet. The blue willow leaves which had acted as a pillow, all disconnected and fluttered through the air in different directions, lifted by an unintelligible wind, and the grass once again stood straight and tall where she had lain. She stepped toward the wall of drooping branches and pulled them aside to look out as through a beaded doorway. The translucent blue leaves twirled about her, then all flew as if guided by an unseen dance instructor out of the cover of the willow canopy into the open air of Willow's real world. She took a breath as the sights and smells and sounds of that multicolored world swept into her perception. It was all so familiar to her, and still she was dumbstruck by the sheer beauty which surrounded her. Below was a solid field of bright, luminescent green grass which stretched up to 4 feet in length, which covered the undulating hills toward the dark blue and green forests on the horizon. The grass moved its curtains. The swirling of the wind itself could be seen explicitly by the glowing pollen, pink flower petals, and gold and green fairies which glided in the grasp of its currents. The blue leaves flew from behind Willow's dress and joined the jubilant merriment of the floating lights, which all danced in clusters above the field of grasses, slowly swaying with the music to which the wind apparently blew. She looked up from the ocean of high grass started with the dance of sparkling golden fairies flowing over them, towards the horizon where the tall, sprawling forests of evenly spaced, brightly shaded blue, green, and silver deciduous trees lay, and where the gigantic mountain spires of white snow and sapphire loomed on the edge of sight, like the promise of future adventures come to tangible life under the light of the violet stars. Those deep diamond crags covered in cotton lifted her eyes up to those heavens, and these were by far the reason she loved this world most. Stars of every size and color speckled the henna-colored sky and formed into curving clouds of pure light as the billowing mountains of white flowed under that canopy, yet never obscured the stars, and the stars never remained in their places. They danced and twirled freely through that red sky without restraints or bounds of natural laws or created order, for there was no law or limit for the children of Lord Sol and Lady Lune, save this single ordinance, that the star children may never touch their blazing white feet to the dust of the earth. Otherwise, the woods would burst into flame, and the dust turn to glass beneath them. She kept her gaze on the heavens as she thought of these facts, which had long since birthed in her consciousness, and undoubtedly it had already been for eons that these things had existed. Distractedly, she watched the bright yellow star named Charville dart to and fro, playfully escaping the chasing Belleville, whose bright blue tail crackled with fire as he sped through the purple sky after Charville. Suddenly, something else started beneath the dancing stars, and caught Willow's eye. It was dark, yet gleamed with gold, silver, and green light, reflecting off of its serpentine body. Finally, it flew over the Lady Lune, in whose light the outline of the entity could easily be seen. The pale moonlight penetrated through its immense bat-like wings, which stretched far and wide beyond its body, which was straight as an arrow, round and muscular, with a pointed head and triangular jaw, causing the silhouette of the creature to appear as a diamond-encrusted cross haloed by the circle of the moon queen. The beast flew out from the halo of the moon, swung round and hovered towards Willow, who still stood in front of the tree on the outskirts of the bioluminescent field. She then remembered who was this flying towards her, and smiled as fond yet obscure memories returned of their friendship. She then, filled with love for the creature, stepped out from the tree line and into the midst of the grass, the yellow lantern fairies twirling about her and giggling for no apparent reason, but for absolute absence of unhappiness. The green sea parted and lay down, as if for a red carpet beneath her feet. The great 30-foot dragon swooped down, velvety clouds foaming behind him, and alighted upon the soft grass without a sound, but with a swift rush of wind blown by its leathery wings. The beast had scales of green diamond covering its chest, also dotting its smooth silver tail, which trailed 20 feet behind him in the grass, tipped by a red spear-like blade on the end. This tail ran smoothly through the grass, propelling the dragon like the body of a great serpent, as its two powerful front legs, like those of a muscular lion, pulled it along. Its towering neck, covered in brown fur and green gems, ran up to a regal head and angular snout, like that of a short-haired hound, reminiscent of the Egyptian head of Anubis, its long ears sticking straight up on either side of its rounded head. It was a Verniant. The Verniant were 4 mystical dragons, each with different attributes and abilities, who held authority over every element of the realm, and had been charged with safeguarding the 4 corners of Willow's woods. The noble beast stooped upon the grass of the hill as Willow ran towards him in delight, and knelt down onto its forearms, then bowed its nose to the earth, as Willow fell upon that great well-muscled neck, wrapping her arms about it. She squeezed as tightly as she could, and although the beast hardly felt the pressure, he felt the warmth of her affection pouring past his fur. She finally let go and stood back as it raised its elephantine spine once more. Each then stared deeply into the eyes of the other, the girl smiling, the beast maintaining a disciplined, indifferent composure. "It is good to see you again, Willow," said the dragon. The canine head lowered again in respect. "It has been too long," replied the girl in her excited voice. She continued to smile, her cheeks flushing with joy. "So, guardian, how have you left the state of my woodland realm?" A slight smile seemed to play across the dragon lips, which did not escape the young girl's notice. Gesturing with his large, highly articulated, sharply clawed paws toward the sapphire mountains and gilded woods in the distance, he spoke. "Wouldst thou not see for thyself, my lady?" With that highly restrained smile remaining on her rounded face, she nodded and curtsied politely, and stepped forward to him. He laid himself flat on his chest, his wings stretching out across the grass, creating a platform over which she could step onto his back. She alighted it and sat on his shoulders. The Wyvern rose to its feet, raising its shining deep red eyes to the matching scarlet sky. "Brace thyself tightly, my lady," said the beast. Willow bent forward as a race horse rider would. "Come, guardian, let us ride the winds, and show me again the wonders of my fair country." Those wings unfurled like 2 huge membranous sails, and with one great flap and a sound of thunder, the guardian and the queen were hundreds of feet above the glowing plain, where the fairies waved up at them with their lanterns, which, growing brighter at their whim, caused the whole grass clearing to glitter with 1,000 torches of magical flame. Higher and higher into the dark blue and purple clouds they rose, till at last naught separated them from the infinite scarlet sky and the familial lights of heaven. Willow's mouth dropped as they soared underneath the backdrop of crimson space, with innumerable groups of star children, each of a different shape and color and brightness, some even clad in glowing raiment of multiple colors, dancing in unity before it. Every motion of every flaming limb of every dancer left a trail of light, the same color as the star behind it, so that the very dances they danced wrote upon the skies the same swirling characters of light seen on the willow's trees. Willow, intrigued by the fading script of light written by the flying stars, asked her steed, "Wyvern?" She paused and turned her head round to a different set of blazing partners and a unique set of patterns. "Yes, Lady Willow." "Do you understand the writing in the skies and in the trees, Wyvern?"